nearly caused all the items to resonate during the selection ceremony, which startled everyone present. You must know that even the most talented genius in the family only awakened one ability, yet I awakened a full 4 abilities. This is simply an unprecedented genius in the family. Even father said helplessly, "It seems we'll have to teach him all 4 abilities." In my previous life, I was the most outstanding swordsman in the Dain Empire. At just 18, my magic power broke through to 4 cores. I was the most promising candidate to advance to a 6-star knight in the Empire. Just when I thought my life would take a great turn for the better, I unexpectedly encountered a 6-star knight from the Alteon Empire, Duke Termion, known as the Black Wave. Before his overwhelming strength, I appeared incredibly weak. What a pity. If you were willing to surrender, you'd still have a chance to surpass me. That's impossible. Since I've started this battle, I will die in this battle. The Duke then launched a fierce attack against me, followed by a thrust that pierced straight through my chest. Thus I, who was praised as a battle genius, fell here. The scene shifted, and when I opened my eyes again, I found myself reincarnated as a member of the Count family of the Alteon Empire. My parents were currently discussing my future career, whether to become a spear knight or an assassin. Since I was their youngest child, they hoped I could inherit their positions. After a moment, we finally returned home, looking at such a harmonious scene. What a wonderful family this is. Perhaps I can fully utilize my talents. 2 months later, father excitedly came to find me with a spear. I could only feel helpless about this, although father usually seems carefree. He is the Empire's top spear knight, Alteon Grays, the battle hero known as the Blue Gale. My mother is the Empire's top assassin, Lily Grays. Her reputation strikes fear into many people. After nearly 2 months of familiarizing myself with the family, I found the reason why my parents were so obsessed with my future career. Because both my sisters chose paths completely unrelated to spear arts and assassination. The scene shifted, and I saw my sister demonstrating magic to me. Arabelle Grays was born with magic power, so she walked the path of a mage from childhood. The highest stage for mages is level 9, and at only 12 she had already become a level 3 mage. Truly a genius among geniuses. "Dain, study magic with me in the future," my sister said while poking my cheek. At that moment, my second sister Claire Grays muttered, "Summoning arts are also quite good." Claire is an excellent summoner who successfully performed summoning at age 7, and now she can simultaneously summon 2 familiars. I didn't expect everyone would want me to learn their abilities. The Count Grays family is truly an excellent noble family. Exactly the ideal family I had always dreamed of. How fortunate I am to be born here. The Grays family has a special tradition called grasping ceremony. When a child in the family turns 1 year old, they place various items on a table and decide the child's future based on what the child grasps. Today is the day I face my grasping ceremony. Come on, Dain, pick something you like. But I felt incredibly conflicted about this. Father surely hoped I would choose the spear Dragontail. Dragontail is the mysterious magic spear that has accompanied father throughout his life. Mother hoped I would choose the short sword Nocturne. Nocturne is a short sword made from the mineral etri that can store all components in the world, capable of storing various toxins. Big sister hoped I would choose the space pocket. The space pocket is an item only mages can use. Second sister hoped I would choose the summoner's emblem. This is the symbol of summoners. Only through this emblem can one summon familiars. What to do? Everyone hopes I'll choose their item, so I made an immediate decision. I'll decide based on people's reactions. Then I slowly crawled toward the 4 items, just as everyone was watching me intently. The next second, all 4 items before me began emitting golden light. This meant I had talent in all 4 paths. This startled everyone present. All 4 items responded. It seems the young master is a genius, surpassing all previous generations. Even I felt incredibly shocked. My talents in this life were completely different from my previous life. Big sister asked in disbelief, "Father, what should we do now?" Even he didn't know what to do. Should we teach him all 4 abilities? The scene shifted, and 7 years quickly passed. "Dain, you're excellent. It seems you've mastered all the techniques I taught you last time." I immediately expressed that this was all thanks to father's patient guidance. At that moment, I saw Herman approaching us with a black spear. "I originally planned to give this to you at your birthday banquet, but I wanted to give it to you before your mom, so I brought it here. This is a weapon I had the capital's craftsman specially prepare for 2 years. Take it, Dain. I wish you a happy 7th birthday in advance." I immediately expressed my gratitude to father. Then father slowly said to me, "Do you know the difference between spears and swords? Spears are longer, making it easier to block opponents from approaching, and they're more efficient in narrow spaces for attacks. But if it exceeds the standard, spears become harder to use than swords. This is the spear's weakness. You need at least a certain distance to attack enemies. But you don't need to worry. After all, every weapon has its advantages and disadvantages. Even swords, called the strongest among weapons, can become weak in special situations." Of course, I kept father's teachings in mind. "Then watch carefully. I'll demonstrate a technique for you." With that, father suddenly channeled his magic power. Just the magic power he emanated could make people feel an incredibly powerful, oppressive force. As he focused his mind, the next second he suddenly thrust out with his spear. In an instant, the entire space seemed to shatter. This is because while thrusting the spear, he released the magic power within his body, gathering the magic power together and using core characteristic techniques. I expressed that I had heard a bit about this. After all, my sisters had mentioned it before. As the core improves, humans can exert abilities beyond their physical limits. Exactly. It seems you've been studying this knowledge well. You should know your father's magic core has reached 6. Hearing this, I immediately felt incredibly shocked. If I hadn't died in my previous life, I should have been able to reach this level too. Father slowly said to me, "Now you try it too. Use that black spear of yours, calm your mind, and focus your intention on this spear." I immediately assumed the spear thrusting stance. It took me 7 years to learn this technique back then. I wonder how far Dain's talent can take him. At that moment, Father immediately showed an incredibly shocked expression, because I accurately reproduced Father's technique. Even he felt very puzzled. "Dain, how did you do that? You're truly amazing." I simply concentrated my magic power at the spear tip the moment I thrust. When the magic power reaches the spear tip, it stops flowing. "What? Have you already formed a magic core?" Of course I confirmed this. I formed a magic core following the methods described in books. Father immediately felt incredibly shocked. "Our family has truly birthed a genius. You will definitely become an excellent warrior in the future. If nothing goes wrong, I should become a magic spear assassin summoner mage." The scene shifted to my 7th birthday today. I didn't expect a duke from the Alteon Empire to come here too. "Long time no see, Akon. By the way, where's today's birthday boy?" Father immediately called me over to greet him. Even I felt very surprised. I didn't expect to encounter this guy here. "I am Dain Shograys. Pleased to meet you, Duke." Although seeing him made my blood boil, I still politely greeted him. He was quite pleased. "You have such a reliable son. So he's learning spear arts from you now?" "Of course." Father confirmed this. At that moment, a figure slowly appeared before everyone. "Count Grays, greetings. I am Duke Termion's youngest daughter, Layla Termion. Pleased to meet you." After Layla greeted us, Father asked the Duke, "How has your wife been lately?" "I'm searching for solutions in many ways, but there's still no change as usual. If I suddenly disappear, please understand, as I might use a scroll to return to the capital. But speaking of which, where did those 2 children go?" I still wanted to talk more with that clever fellow Dain. At that moment, the Duke noticed 2 figures outside the window. It seems the 2 children have grown tired of the banquet. At the same time, Layla began chatting with me. She seemed very tired of her own family because many nobles and royalty came to find her father every day, and she had to wear dresses and greet them each time. In contrast, she preferred wearing ordinary clothes and practicing swordsmanship. "What about you?" "I actually quite like this place. After all, it's not like the capital, and I look forward to spear training time every day." "So you train hard to go to the academy?" "After all, getting into the academy isn't easy." I immediately gave a negative answer. "I want to enter the academy to better my cultivation. But what if you can't get into the academy? Then I'll just try again next time." Hearing this, Layla immediately expressed great envy. After all, her family doesn't allow failure. At that moment, Layla suddenly said to me, "Why don't you look at my swordsmanship?" Seeing her sincere expression, I agreed. The scene shifted as I brought her to the training ground. She demonstrated her swordsmanship very skillfully. Overall, the offense-defense transitions were very natural, and she grasped breakthrough timing quite well. But from a certain point, her body showed subtle deviations. "How's my swordsmanship?" Layla asked me expectantly. "Of course, your performance is very good. But starting from the 3rd sword, your foot always moves forward half a step. Compared to the basic sword form, this is the result. Because of the repeated forward movement, all subsequent sword forms have subtle errors." Hearing this, Layla immediately froze. Did I speak too directly? The next second, she demonstrated her swordsmanship skillfully again. "Yes, this is exactly the mistake I never realized." Then Layla hugged me tightly. "Thank you so much, Dain. Your observation is so detailed. Thank you for your help. I'll remember you." After a moment, we returned to the banquet. "Congratulations on forming your magic core. Happy 7th birthday, Dain." With that, Mother handed me a gift. It was actually a brooch made with the family emblem. "Treasure it well, Dain. This brooch is now a symbol of your identity and honor." Then everyone present expressed their blessings to me. At that moment, violent shaking came. How did it start again? I thought today could be quiet. "Dain, you've guessed who it is too, right?" The next second, countless lightning bolts were released from the magic circle that appeared on the roof. Then a figure slowly descended from the magic circle. "Dain, your sister didn't come late, did she?" Everyone present showed incredibly shocked expressions. "Isn't that level 5 or higher communication magic? I didn't expect our family's young lady to be such a genius." Just when I thought it could finally be quiet. The next second, everyone looked toward the window. "Isn't that a flying dragon? This time it's Miss Claire coming. Looks like I'm still a step late." After a moment, both sisters expressed birthday wishes to me, then both handed me gifts. When I opened them, Big Sister actually gave me a space pocket. Yes, this ring was designed by me personally, but the space magic was cast by our professor himself. With that, Big Sister put the space ring on my hand. "By the way, this ring is designed according to your genetic code, so no one but you can use it." At that moment, sharp-eyed Mother immediately recognized it. Looking at the spiritual power fluctuations emanating from it, this should be made from the highest grade spiritual stone. Big big sister slowly explained. Just inject magic into the ring and the space will appear. I immediately expressed my gratitude to big sister. After all, in my previous life, only noble commanders and high-status mages could use such things. I never expected I could use such a thing too. Then I slowly injected magic into the ring, and the next second, a space door appeared before everyone. Everyone present felt incredibly shocked. Even big sister looked incredulous. I didn't expect you to open the space faster than me. Our youngest son is truly a genius. After a moment, I opened the gift for my second sister. A delicate, small egg appeared before my eyes. This is a fairy. When I was trying to summon Decoron, this egg appeared. Although I don't know which familiar it comes from, people believe this is a precious egg. Hearing this, I immediately felt incredibly shocked. After all, in my previous life, I had heard that summoned fairies are different from other familiars. They can stay in this world forever. Second sister then instructed me, from now until it hatches, this will be a secret buried in your heart. You must remember to input magic power into it daily, so it will recognize you as its master. Of course, I'll keep it in mind. Father slowly spoke. Since all the blessings have been given, you should go rest early. At the same time, I noticed that Layla on the side seemed a bit unhappy. Is she preparing to go back? But why does she look so sad? The scene shifted to the Duke taking a walk in the courtyard. I didn't expect Khan's descendants to all be so excellent. The Academy's magic department is indeed the most outstanding. It would be quite suitable for our family's sword department's first-ranked eldest son. If the two families united, they would become a force that even the royal family would find hard to shake. It seems the marriage between the two families should be put on the agenda soon. At that moment, sounds from the training ground caught his attention. On the other side, I was currently training spear arts on the training ground, every move coordinated seamlessly. With each thrust, I could accurately hit vital points. The Duke secretly watching was incredibly shocked. This movement and concentration don't seem like those of a 7-year-old child at all. From his skills, he looks like a soldier who has experienced countless battles, although his talent was evident when he was 1 year old. Why do his posture and steps look like those of a swordsman? Could he have learned swordsmanship at this age too? At that moment, I slowly spoke. Rather than sneaking around and observing, it would be more dignified to come out and watch openly. Hearing this, the Duke could only helplessly enter the training room. Sorry, Dain, I didn't mean to spy on your training. So it's you, Duke? I was quite surprised, Termian. I still can't forget your voice. After the Duke apologized to me, he felt very curious. He had clearly trained earlier, yet his body wasn't trembling at all. Could he have created a magic core at this age? He slowly said, your spear work is excellent. You've inherited Khan's talent well. I immediately expressed my gratitude to the Duke. Very good answer. Although my son has been this excellent since childhood, he hasn't reached this level yet. Should I also consider his marriage? My daughter, Layla, practices swordsmanship, and you're about the same age. I hope you can become good friends after entering school. Of course, I immediately agreed. Just as the Duke was about to leave, he suddenly raised his doubt. Dain, have you practiced swordsmanship? Hearing this, my heart trembled. It seems I unconsciously revealed my habits. He indeed saw through me. I then responded, although I've read books about swordsmanship, I haven't practiced it. How strange, he clearly has the aura of a swordsmanship veteran about him. But thinking again, that's not right. How could someone his age have experienced battle? He then decided to turn and leave, and before leaving, he slowly said to me, Dain, if you need anything, you can find me in the capital. I'll welcome you warmly. I'm very interested in you. Interested? Does he still remember me? Defeating someone who once beat me, just thinking about it makes my heart race. Turn me on. In this life, I will definitely defeat you. The scene shifted as Herman reminded me it was time to go back, and I felt somewhat surprised, since this guy always appeared silently. Perhaps he's more suitable to teach me assassination. I asked him how everyone was doing. He replied, yes, everyone was busy preparing for tonight's second banquet and had no energy. Other nobles had gradually arrived, and it wasn't easy for over 30 noble families to find time to come. I was curious where my sisters had gone. Herman responded that they had opened a space-time gate back to the academy. Because the academy was holding midterm exams, they had no choice. I see. It seems I need to find time to return gifts to my sisters. After the long banquet reception, I finally found time to come to the courtyard. After all, resting in the courtyard was a form of comfort. At that moment, I suddenly remembered what Big Sister once said, flowers are the most magical things in nature. Should I analyze the magic power in flowers? Although I've been constantly training, I haven't made much progress in summoning and magic. Now I don't even know which aspect I should focus on. It seems having too many talents is also a trouble. At that moment, a stream of magic power swept directly past my hand. I felt incredibly shocked this small flower actually possessed such enormous magic power. If this natural magic power could become my own magic power, it could ultimately be fixed in the body and form a magic ring. I must say, this body's affinity for magic power is really too high. The next second, the magic power that had been condensed together instantly shattered. At the same time, two young nobles got lost in the courtyard. They were stepping on flowers to vent their dissatisfaction. When they noticed me, they thought I was a servant here and asked me to show them the way. I immediately refused them. There's a perfectly good path. Why must you trample these flowers? The next second, one of the nobles grabbed my collar. A mere servant dares to be so rude. We are sons of the Count T-Lane family. A figure suddenly appeared in my mind. In my memory, T-Lane had once captured me. He was a mean and petty noble. I didn't expect these were his sons. Without hesitation, I immediately used a headbutt to strike him hard, sending him flying dozens of meters away. Damn it, this guy dares to attack me. I must kill him. But I just smiled calmly. Try it if you can. The next second, he launched an attack against me, but I easily dodged it. From his steps, I could tell he practiced either summoning or magic. The magic power flow I saw earlier, if I could control its flow according to my thoughts, then I should be able to compress it into the form I want. Without hesitation, I immediately gathered magic power in my palm and struck out, immediately sending the noble flying dozens of meters away. This left him unable to move. Just when I thought it was over, he suddenly burst out with all his magic power. The next second, a huge gray wolf was summoned from another dimension. So he's a summoner. Kendorf, quickly bite off that guy's neck. The gray wolf then launched an attack against me, but I just stared at it. The red gray wolf instantly turned blue. Both were shocked by what they saw before them. That wolf seems to be wagging its tail. What's going on? Even I wasn't clear what happened. No wonder Second Sister's familiars are all close to me. Could it be because my summoning affinity is too high? But it might also be due to low intimacy between the user and familiar. How outrageous. A familiar would actually betray its master. How about it? Do you want to continue? The younger brother quickly pulled his older brother. Brother, we lost. Let's go quickly. When the brother came to his senses, he found his younger brother had already wet himself from fear. You're so embarrassing, and you call yourself a young noble. Having no choice, he could only take his brother and leave first, but still left a threat. Just wait here. I'll be back soon. I was speechless. If you're leaving, take your familiar with you. After a moment, I used the method my sister taught me and successfully contracted Kendorf as my familiar. Probably because my affinity was too strong, I very successfully used summoning arts this time. At the same time, a voice rang in my ears. Is he the one who bullied you? Looking up, I saw the young noble had brought his father here. That guy bullied me and Dinal, and even severed my connection with my familiar. At that moment, Tilayan slowly said, so you're the one who bullied my sons and stole his familiar? Of course, I confirmed this. This guy is much fatter than back then. The food during peacetime must be really good. He pointed at me and shouted, why are you alone here? What's your identity? I felt very helpless about this. I am the host of this banquet, the youngest son of Count Grays, Dain Grays. Hearing this, both immediately froze. This guy is Dain? After I revealed my identity, Tilayan began calculating in his mind. If I use this matter to hold the Count accountable, getting mining rights shouldn't be difficult. You hurt my son and even stole his familiar. No matter what, I must find Count Grays to demand accountability. Now show me the way. Of course, but before that, you must apologize to me. Although I did make your son bleed, I did so only to protect myself, and his familiar came with me willingly. Hearing this, the young master immediately became furious. This guy is definitely lying. Kendorf would never betray me. But Tilayan didn't agree with him after all. He had heard that the Count's second daughter was a genius summoner. Maybe that guy severed their connection. Stop explaining and quickly take me to find Count Grays. At that moment, two figures slowly appeared before everyone. It was actually Count Grays and Duke Termian. The young master then stammered through the cause and process, but completely omitted his own actions. He claimed I suddenly headbutted him, and to scare me, he reluctantly released his familiar, but I somehow stole his familiar. All sorts of embellishments. Watching him lie without changing expression, I really worried about his future. At that moment, T-Line slowly said, my son originally just wanted to scare him, but he stole the familiar. Isn't this too much? Father responded, I can't just listen to one side of the story. I'll make a decision after hearing Dain's words. If you're worried my judgment won't be fair enough, you can also let Duke Termian judge. Damn it, why does Termian have to get involved too? This makes things more troublesome. Dain, tell your side. Although the general situation is similar, some parts differ from what he said. He stepped on the flowers in the garden, so I asked him to come out from there, but unexpectedly he grabbed my collar and got angry at me, and I personally heard him tell Kendorf to bite me to death. Also, I didn't steal his familiar. His familiar showed goodwill toward me first. Hearing this, T-Lane immediately said, you're not even a summoner. How could you make a familiar submit to you? This is because the intimacy between the familiar and master was too low, so it actively chose me, someone with naturally high affinity. The Duke slowly spoke, since both sides insist on their versions. The best way now is to prove yourself through summoning. At that moment, Diglin couldn't summon Kendorf no matter what. This was inevitable since I had already severed their connection. Then it was my turn to summon, but I needed that guy's emblem. Diglin felt it was absurd. How could someone else use a summoner's personal emblem? According to what you said, even if you lent it to him, he couldn't successfully summon. Wouldn't this result be more favorable to you? Hearing this, T-Lane also felt father made sense, so he had Diglin take out the emblem. Under normal circumstances, others cannot use a summoner's personal emblem. But now Kendorf already possessed my magic power, and the emblem was just a summoning medium, so Kendorf would definitely respond to my summoning. The next second, Kendorf was summoned by me. Everyone present was stunned. Even the Duke found it hard to believe. This guy doesn't practice spear arts. What do you have to say now? Even if the familiar matter is proven true, my son was just trying trying to scare him, not really attack. At that moment, a voice caught everyone's attention. That guy is lying. The newcomer was Layla. Actually, I accidentally overheard their conversation while walking. Layla then told father everything. After a moment, Diglin very reluctantly apologized to me, and I unhesitatingly accepted his apology. After all, from the current perspective, showing tolerance would be more advantageous for me. Since Dain has accepted the apology, this matter is over. But because you intended to use a familiar to harm my son, please take your subordinates and leave my territory now. Otherwise, I'll have soldiers escort you out. With that, father turned and left with me, while the Duke also left with Layla. This seems like a good ending. They also reaped what they sowed. The scene shifted as the Duke curiously asked, "Did you really use a magic bullet?" Of course, I confirmed this. Spear arts, summoning arts, plus magic. Besides him, has there been anyone in history with such powerful talents? You shouldn't need to worry about the child's future now, right? Far from it. We'll have to wait until the child grows up to know. This incident was resolved smoothly thanks to Miss Layla. Since both fathers have good impressions of each other's children, why don't we discuss the children's marriage while we're at it? Upon hearing this, the father was immediately frightened and found an excuse to flee from there, while the Duke, after instructing Layla and me to walk slowly, chased after him. A moment later, we slowly walked toward the banquet, and Layla was very curious, asking me why summoned beasts would betray their masters and submit to me. But even I didn't know how to explain this. But Layla thought I was unwilling to explain the reason. It's not good to be so secretive. I'm not being secretive with you, and didn't I help you with swordsmanship last time? That does seem to be the case, but thinking that Layla had helped me greatly this time, I decided to help her once more. Then tell me how to use magic bullets. And I was very curious why you would want to learn this. Because I want to grow quickly. I want to form 2 magic cores before entering the academy. So mother will definitely be very happy. And I suddenly realized that Lady Termian seemed to have been lying in bed all this time. Well, such a reason is truly impossible to refuse. Then how about we start tomorrow night? Of course, let's go with your idea. As long as you can feel the fluctuation of magic power, magic bullets aren't a very difficult technique. Upon hearing this, Layla immediately expressed great anticipation. But what do you want to ask of me, Dain? A moment later, I returned to the banquet once again. At this moment, everyone was discussing animatedly. They had all learned that Count Tilane's family had been driven out, and that the young master was a remarkable summoner. Just then, Baron Ophite nearby greeted me. Do you know the Ophite Ridge in the east? Of course, I heard it's famous for trout and sapphires. That's right. Our specialties there are the best on the entire continent. You're really too smart. Then he introduced me to his daughter. Nice to meet you. I'm Sephia Ophite. Then she quietly asked me, "You'll inherit the Grays family in the future, right? I heard you have many talents, so I'll be counting on you in the future, because we might become family." Just then, Layla suddenly appeared before us. But before I could explain, Sephia hurriedly introduced herself. "I'm the eldest daughter of Baron Ophite, Sephia Ophite." "Oh really? I'm pleased to meet you. This familiar, murderous aura seems exactly like my 2 older sisters." Then Layla found an excuse to take me away from there. The scene changed, and I brought Layla to a secret space that only I knew about. Here I don't have to worry about others interfering with me. This is really a nice place. Truly no one else knows about this place? That's right, this is a suitable place for cultivation. But speaking of which, have you ever felt magic power? I have felt it, just haven't reached the stage of forming a magic core yet. Then let's start with the simple things. First, you need to feel and accept the magic power within your body. Close your eyes and imagine magic power rotating within your body. Then Layla did as I said, but the results weren't ideal, so I could only have her concentrate and try once more. At the same time, father was secretly watching all this from the side. I really didn't expect that my son can now teach others. At this moment, the Duke suddenly appeared behind him, and he was immediately startled into a cold sweat. "Haha, why are you so scared? But your wife is the Empire's top assassin. Didn't you learn anything from her? Speaking of which, even as a city lord, you can't just hide and secretly watch others like this." Father didn't explain much about this. After all, he knew well that the Duke's purpose for coming here was the same as his. Then the 2 hid to the side and secretly observed us. At this moment, I raised my hand and opened the space pocket. This is a gift my eldest sister gave me, and Layla was very envious, because her brothers had never cared about her since going to Magic Academy. The next second, I took out a mirror from the space pocket. Rather than imagining out of thin air, it's easier to imagine while looking at your own image in the mirror. Upon hearing this, Layla immediately began to try. At the same time, the Duke beside us slowly said, "Layla should quite like your son. After all, there aren't many things that can capture her attention. That child only appears cheerful on the surface, but her heart isn't like that. Since her brothers went to academy, and her mother also fell ill in bed. Since then, she seems to have difficulty opening her heart to others. If that's the case, then why are you still so cold to her? I'm actually doing this on purpose. Previously, I was too indulgent with my sons, which led to them being spoiled. I'm afraid my daughter would become like that too. But speaking of which, do you plan to let your son go to the capital? If he goes, how about coming to the Duke's residence?" Just then, Layla successfully completed her control of magic power, and father also gave his answer at this time. "If Dain wants to go, I will respect his opinion." At the same time, mother was standing to the side secretly watching everything. No wonder I couldn't find them anywhere. What on earth are they doing here? But the children's relationship seems to get along very harmoniously. I'll just pretend I don't know. After Layla completed her control of magic power, we were now slowly walking toward the banquet, and Layla asked somewhat puzzled, Dain, you'll also go to academy in the future, right? After all, that's where all the geniuses of the Empire gather. But I expressed that I temporarily had no such plans, because I could become stronger through solo training. Upon hearing this, Layla immediately became somewhat dissatisfied, saying, learning isn't everything. That's the best place to build personal influence. I know, but currently there are more important things than going to academy. There's a pile of unfinished books in the library, and I still have many things to learn from my parents. If I plan to go to academy in the future, I'll tell you then. Of course, if you have a chance to come to the capital, I'll show you around my training grounds, but when do you plan to tell me your request? Upon hearing this, I immediately responded, I'll tell you when I go to the capital. The scene changed. The Duke boarded the carriage to the capital with Layla, and I gazed at the badge in my hand, lost in thought. This was the birthday gift the Duke gave me before leaving. The symbol of the Termion family is the revenge sword and forging. Termion's history began with a blacksmith. Thanks to his appearance, our empire has the best forge on the entire continent. All weapons in the empire are forged by this forge. Of course, I know this clearly. All ores in the world can be found there, and all the mysterious weapons that appear on the continent come from the most ancient smithy. At this moment, the Duke slowly said, if you take this badge to the smithy, they will forge a weapon for you. Upon hearing this, my parents were instantly extremely shocked. This was something even the royal family couldn't dream of. But the Duke instructed me, you must grow well to better help your father. Then the Duke turned and left with Layla, and I watched their departing figures, secretly making a firm resolution. I will go to the capital soon. Before then, you must take good care of yourself, Layla. On the other side, the Duke sitting in the carriage was lost in thought. I don't know why, but whenever I see him, I always think of that guy, Agrek, who showed abilities surpassing a third-level warrior in his youth. If he were still alive, he might have become one of the 6 great knights of the Drenic Empire. I really want to see how Dain grows. The scene changed, and I was staring at the fairy egg, lost in thought. Although I inject magic power into it every day, it doesn't seem to have changed much. Could it be that I haven't met the conditions for its hatching yet? After injecting magic power into the egg, I put it back in its original place. Just as I was about to leave, I heard a sound from the direction of the egg, but after careful inspection, there was no difference. Finally, urged by Herman, I could only put down the fairy egg and run to the training room for practice. The scene changed, and I was currently practicing swordsmanship in the training room. Every move and stance was perfectly natural. Even Herman beside me couldn't help but praise. Really amazing, young master. When did you start practicing swordsmanship? Because father has been watching too closely recently, I haven't had time to practice swordsmanship. On the other side, father was currently lost in thought. He had gained much from this banquet. Most nobles were paying attention to the South, and most nobles hoped to establish good relations with us. After the war ended, the South, with its pleasant climate, had many things that nobles dreamed of. But all this was nothing compared to the attention Dain received. Although the conflict with the Count's eldest son was unexpected, he didn't expect him to explain the matter so calmly. He even proved his talent. He's too mature, so much so that I sometimes hope he could be mischievous like children his age. A moment later, father slowly looked toward the spear beside him. Dragon tail, it's time to wield it. The scene changed. Father had just arrived at the training room and was shocked by the scene before him. At this moment, I was skillfully practicing swordsmanship, and he suddenly realized that the Duke must have said something to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given up practicing the spear I had trained with for so long. But it looks like he's quite good with the sword. The power he displays is something that people who have trained in swordsmanship their whole lives cannot imitate. I have to say he also has talent in swordsmanship. A moment later, father curiously asked me, Dain, when did you start learning swordsmanship? Actually, I haven't really learned swordsmanship. And father was very shocked. Spearmanship, magic, assassination, summoning, and now you've learned swordsmanship too. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't believe they could show talent in all areas. Dain, are you curious about this world? I mean the vast world outside the city. This city is too small. It's not enough to contain your talent. Staying here is a huge loss for you. Upon hearing this, I immediately fell into thought. Father seemed to realize he couldn't keep me by his side forever. Then next, we need to prepare well for your journey. But before that, do you remember it? It responded to you when you were 1 year old. It's actually dragon tail. The next second, father handed me the dragon tail in his hand, and I was very surprised, not expecting this spear to contain such enormous power. At this moment, father secretly made a firm resolution. I must train his spearmanship to perfection. At least before you leave, you can learn one of my skills, so you need to be mentally prepared. Dain, someday this spear will become yours. Before then, settle down and practice well. Of course, I'll remember father's teachings. The scene changed and I was lying in bed, lost in thought. Actually, I've always been very curious about the outside world. In my previous life, I always lived in battle. The only ways to escape battle were victory and death. It's hard to imagine what life would be like besides fighting. But now, as Dain, I'm different. Although I don't know how the world will accept me, I will have the opportunity to travel around the world and accomplish anything. I once only wanted to stay in the family and enjoy warmth, but father changed my mind. Then it's decided, I want to go out and see the outside world. Just then, mother's appearance interrupted my thoughts. Your father said you would be torn by inner conflict, and it seems he wasn't wrong. So are you curious about the outside world? I expressed affirmation to this. After all, father said staying here would only waste my talents. I'm sorry, mother, I want to go out and see the outside world. Of course, I understand your thoughts very well. Even if you don't want to, the world will still call to you. So you don't need to worry about anything. Go do what you want to do, Dain. But before that, you must learn all my assassination techniques. Of course, I cannot refuse such a request. Then next, I need to make sufficient preparations for my journey. After I decided to go out and see the world, time quickly came to 7 years later, in the Grays County region in the south of the Alteon Empire. Here, the climate is suitable and resources are abundant. And under the Earl's leadership, this territory has always been full of peace and warmth. It seems a peaceful era has finally arrived. On the other side, in a forest filled with ancient magic power, I was currently carrying out an escape mission assigned by Mother. I just encountered poison spiders here, so next I should head west. Now there are less than 3 hours left. I must leave here before sunset. The most important point in assassination is to avoid being caught by enemies. And within the specified time, I must avoid all the traps Mother set and safely escape this dangerous forest. At this moment, I slowly took a deep breath, then imagined merging myself with the surrounding environment. The next second, the traps Mother set appeared clearly before my eyes. I could see that almost transparent threads filled the entire area. Once touched, the traps would instantly activate, but this was nothing to me. Just as I was about to start disarming the traps, at this moment, a group of Raselts suddenly emerged in front of me. Damn, this is troublesome now. Originally, I wanted to deal with them quickly, but considering that if I triggered the traps, things would become even more troublesome, so I immediately decided to leave here first. At the same time, that group of Raselts rushed straight into the traps. The next second, countless spikes pierced through their bodies, just as I was feeling smug about this. At this moment, a Raselt suddenly appeared before me. Then it opened its bloody mouth wide. Seeing this, I immediately dodged to the side, but then the Raselt actually spat red liquid from its mouth, so I immediately spun my spear to block it. Damn, I can't waste time here. The next second, I suddenly burst out with all my magic power. Then with one thrust, I killed it on the spot. A moment later, I finally escaped from this forest, just as I was about to rest well. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared before me. It turned out to be Mother who had come here. Dain, you're really amazing. You completed the task in 3 hours and 30 minutes. You're even better than I was back then. You did very well. I have nothing to criticize. If you continue developing like this, you'll become the continent's top assassin. Then Mother handed me a short sword. Now you're more suitable for it than I am. It's actually the short sword Nocturne. Can I really accept this? Of course, I don't need it anymore anyway. Nocturne is made from mysterious ore, so it has the property of directly absorbing material components. As long as you're willing, you can store all the toxins in the world. Of course, I'll remember Mother's teachings. Just as the two were about to leave, the next second, a sound from the forest attracted their attention. At this moment, Mother slowly said, "Let's go quickly, Dain." The scene changed, and a man suddenly woke up from his dream. What's happening? Wasn't I supposed to be eating mushrooms in the forest? The next second, I walked in carrying a bowl of soup. You're still detoxifying, so please don't move around. You ate a poisonous mushroom called Red Nose. If we hadn't discovered you in time, you would have died by now. And I noticed the Nyx magic tower symbol on his belt. It seems he's not an ordinary person. If I didn't have Nocturne at that time, I couldn't have saved him either. Then I told him, this is the Grays County territory, and I'm the youngest son of Count Grays, Dain. What, you're Arabelle's younger brother, that genius watched by all magic towers. But how did you find me? Actually, Mother and I were training in the forest. Upon hearing this, he was immediately extremely shocked. That dangerous forest where even he, an 8th level grand mage, couldn't cast magic. And he was very curious, did you also make this antidote? Of course, I affirmed this. I didn't expect such rich experience and knowledge at such a young age. Does such a family really exist? To actually have 3 geniuses surpassing historical levels. If war broke out now, the strongest noble family in the Alteon Empire would definitely be the Grays family. At this moment, he slowly began to introduce himself. I'm the former tower master of Nixon Magic Tower, Sidron Goss. Given that you helped me before, whatever you want, just ask. Upon hearing this, I didn't show much interest. After reminding him to be careful, I turned and left, and he felt very helpless. After all, this was the first time he encountered such a person. It seems I need to stay here for a few more days. I need to observe this interesting guy more. The scene changed, and Herman was very surprised. That's an 8th level grand mage. This is equivalent to a big shot owing you a favor. You know, magic towers are like countries, independent territories on this continent. But he was very curious why a magic tower master would be wandering in the forest. That's not an ordinary forest. People call it the Doomsday Forest. Herman, prepare a new longsword for me. These swords are all too short and light. Of course, I'll prepare a new sword for you tomorrow. And at this time, I suddenly remembered the badge the Duke gave me when he left. 7 years have passed since that day. If I go to the capital, I must find an opportunity to visit him. The scene changed, and I had just finished training when I met Father. Things ended earlier than expected. I hurried back because of the Magic Tower Master matter. Maybe he should be able to help Arabelle. But I felt this was somewhat forcing things. After all, eldest sister's temper is really too fiery. A moment later, Father and I returned home. From Father's words, I learned. Eldest Eldest sister was choosing which magic tower to enter after the semester ended, while second sister was promoted to professor's assistant by her professor. It seems everyone is working very hard. At this moment, father slowly said, I have the highest expectations for you. After all, you have so many talents. How will the world accept you? Thinking of Duke Termion's caught off guard expression makes me want to laugh. Duke Termion? Someday I'll compete with him again. I wonder how Layla has been lately. Perhaps I'll only know when I go to the capital. The scene changed. Since Goss's toxins hadn't been completely cleared, he still needed to stay here for a few more days and couldn't use any magic. A moment later, he sat alone in the garden to relax. I really didn't expect these flowers to have such extraordinary magic power. It looks like you're recovering quite well. I appeared behind him and said slowly, this is a very suitable place to rest. I finally understand why those nobles all want to come here. But unfortunately, I'm about to leave here. And Goss was very curious, where are you going? I'm preparing to go to the capital to study. After all, both my sisters are at the academy in the capital. At this moment, Goss used magic perception to observe me. The next second, incredibly powerful magic power instantly appeared before his eyes. Then he showed an extremely shocked expression. This magic density is too amazing. If geniuses among peers were called streams, then he would be a raging river. But so much magic power shouldn't flow so stably. Don't you think it's wrong to assess someone else's magic power without permission? Of course, I apologize for this. At this moment, he found it very hard to believe. Can a child really possess this level of magic power? And I felt extremely puzzled. What exactly did this guy see that shocked him so much? But what he couldn't understand was why such dense magic power hadn't formed magic rings. The next second, his eyes widened again. This is impossible. He actually has 2 magic cores. Then he said somewhat tremblingly, with this density of magic power, do you really only plan to learn spearmanship? But can't I learn both? Seeing this, the Tower Master immediately explained some knowledge to me. Do you know why magic swordsmen have short lifespans? Their strength comes from having both magic cores and magic rings simultaneously. But these two conflict with each other. When problems occur, magic swordsmen die on the spot. Although I know all this, is there really no possibility? Of course, you're now wasting one talent. And I was very puzzled. Can't I use magic without magic rings? It's not that you can't use it, it's just that you can't use high purity magic. Initially, there were people with your kind of thinking, but later they all failed. Then let me try. As I rearranged the magic coating. The next second, a flame suddenly burst from my hand. It looks like it succeeded, though only at first order magic level, and the Tower Master beside me showed an extremely shocked expression. How is this possible? How can you use magic without magic rings? Is this what's called natural talent? It looks like even without magic rings, I can still use magic. The next second, the Tower Master suddenly knelt down. Natural magic affinity plus such high purity magic density. This guy is really a genius. Please become my disciple. At this moment, I immediately refused. Have you already learned second order magic? No, after all, I don't know the coding for second order magic. That's great. As long as you become my disciple, you can immediately cast 8th order grand magic. But I still refused. Just then, Father slowly appeared before us. I didn't expect you to be so close to my son already. But what were you discussing just now? This guy keeps asking me to be his disciple. I was just about to refuse him. Upon hearing this, the Tower Master immediately said, Count Grace, your son has the talent to become a great mage. He even used first order magic without magic rings. Is this true, Dain? Father asked with a shocked expression. Of course, I affirmed this. And at this time, the Tower Master beside us slowly said, this isn't just a matter of talent. Your son's talent can definitely become a rare magic swordsman. Upon hearing this, Father's expression immediately tightened. Damn, this guy shouldn't mention swords in front of him. How about it? Entrust him to me. I'll make him the Empire's top magic swordsman. The next second, Father shouted angrily, my son should become the Empire's top spear knight. Upon hearing this, the Tower Master was instantly stunned. Why are the people in this family all somewhat abnormal? The scene changed, and I was reading books related to mages in my room. For a mage, the word student has considerable significance. Mages often cultivate successors through inheritance, which is behavior that has been passed down since ancient times. But I could see at a glance that the Tower Master wasn't simply wanting to take disciples, but was looking for an heir. From the Tower Master's persistence toward me, perhaps my talent is really outstanding. After hearing so many words of praise, I can feel something rotating inside my body, and I suddenly remembered that this kind of problem might be something I could ask my sister about. After all, eldest sister gave me a crystal ball when she left. As long as I want to see her, I just need to inject magic power into the crystal ball. On the other side, eldest sister was sitting in the library. Suddenly a voice rang in her ear, Sister, it's Dain, and she was extremely happy. Is it really Dain? Then eldest sister learned from our chat that I had used magic without magic rings. Even she found it somewhat hard to believe. I know your magic affinity is very high, but I didn't expect it would be this strong. The function of magic rings is to circulate and purify magic power. This situation can only happen for one reason. Your magic power is already pure enough, but we still need to test it. I'll teleport a magic stone to your room later. You just need to inject magic power into it. The scene changed, and I was currently using the magic stone to talk with eldest sister, and eldest sister said, if you can already use first order magic now, then you'll receive even more attention after entering the academy. But you don't need to worry. If anyone dares to bully you, I absolutely won't let them off. Just then, a professor suddenly summoned Arabelle, so eldest sister had had to hurriedly hang up, and I was very surprised because I never thought my magic power would be so pure. On the other side, the Tower Master was currently in a dilemma. What exactly should I do to make him agree to me? Should I give him some precious items or the magic passed down to me by previous generations? No, if I get deceived, my loss would be too great. Just then, I slowly walked up to him. Initially, I came to refuse his request. After all, I want to become a magic spear assassin summoner. And since I saved him once before, asking him for some magic knowledge shouldn't be something he'd refuse. But then he proposed a condition I couldn't refuse. Are you interested in a recommendation letter? If I write a recommendation letter to your academy, you'll have a good image from the start. Upon hearing this, I immediately agreed. But can I ask you for one more thing? Can I learn the coding for all second-order magic? Of course, this is completely no problem. Just when he thought he had finally taken me as a disciple. The next second, I changed the subject. With your word, I'm relieved. Then our previous account is settled. Didn't you say last time that I saved you so you wanted to repay me? Upon hearing this, the Tower Master was immediately stunned. I was actually played around by a 14-year-old child. But even so, I only owe you one favor, right? You've already made 2 conditions. But I don't think so. After all, saving you and detoxifying you are 2 different things. Upon hearing this, the Tower Master was instantly speechless. A moment later, we came to the training ground. The second-order magic coding I'm about to explain is very complex. Many people can't even do this and choose to give up, so you need to concentrate and listen carefully. Of course, I have no problem at all. Compared to first order, second order coding is at a completely different level because you need to calculate the magic power in your body and the magic power floating in the air, and even your physical state must be calculated. This is why most people choose to give up. How about it? Can you understand these? Of course, I affirmed this. Upon hearing this, the Tower Master was immediately extremely shocked. Then tell me about the arrangement laws of magic. The first law is coexistence. Magic power can coexist with matter and other magic power. Through coexistence, mages can call upon all magic power within themselves and around them. The second is preservation. If magic power fully absorbs the inherent characteristics of the surroundings, then through preservation, magic power can cast various attribute magic. Not bad. Your explanation is very comprehensive. Since that's the case, let me demonstrate next, as he raised his hand and waved. The next second, first order magic appeared before me. It can be converted using simple rules. But starting from second order magic, it's different, and this was the rearrangement coding of second order magic. Seeing this, I immediately frowned. It seems this is much harder than theory. This is the coding that constitutes second order magic flame arrow. If you want the quantity to increase, then you need to use this coding multiple times. Just when he thought I would give up at this point, the next second I said, I want to try. As I slowly channeled my magic power, a first-tier spell was easily cast by me. From the fixed proportions, this guy has already mastered the encoding of first-tier magic. At the same time, the first-tier magic transformed into a second-tier magic right on the spot. At this moment, the Tower Master showed an expression of utter shock. How is this possible? To understand the encoding of second-tier magic so easily? And I slowly said, when I observe it, I memorize its rules and patterns, then create it in my mind. This guy is even more formidable than I was back then. Well then, let me try the flame arrow next. As I mobilized the surrounding magic power, the next second, 4 flame swords appeared floating in the air. Even the Tower Master was utterly shocked. If I had his talent, I would have become a 9th-tier Grand Mage long ago, a mage without magic rings. This would be an existence that could shake the world. At least before he becomes my disciple, I must hide his talent. It seems I need to think carefully about how to write this recommendation letter. The scene shifts, and now I'm lying in bed, lost in thought. In my previous life, I could only learn swordsmanship for survival, as taking time to study magic would only become a burden. Because magic, to some extent, prioritizes theory over practice. But this life is different. I've been taught by my elder sister since childhood, and I can even achieve significant growth through simple methods. Plus now with the Magic Tower Master teaching me, I can finally safely display my talent. The scene shifts. To learn potion making, I requested permission from father to leave the territory. The Tower Master also spoke for me saying, don't worry, this guy has already mastered 4 types of arrangement encoding. Upon hearing this, father immediately widened his eyes. Generally speaking, isn't it 1 encoding per month? And information about magic potions shouldn't be easy to obtain. I never thought you'd be interested in magic potions, since many people find them boring. But if it's you, you'll definitely choose interesting materials. At this moment, father slowly said, in that case, go ahead. Seeing the outside territories will be a good experience for you. Of course, I heed father's teachings. Just after father agreed to my request to go out, I slowly walked through the streets with the Tower Master, and from the attitude of the people, Count Gray should be a very good lord. But how much longer until the magic materials shop? Since I've never been there personally, I'm not sure. So I signaled Herman beside me to lead the way. Moments later, under Herman's guidance, we quickly arrived at the magic materials shop. Unexpectedly, the shop owner immediately recognized me and the Tower Master. This was inevitable, well. After all, the Tower Master is one of the most prominent figures in the Empire. Then we each began browsing around the shop. You could see all sorts of magical things displayed here, but I don't know why, being here gave me a familiar feeling, and I discovered something important. Whenever I touch a material, there's a magical reaction. This might be due to my high magical affinity. Just then, some commotion nearby caught my attention, but the shop owner explained that those are all decorative items. If you're looking for reagents, please come this way. These are all potions I made myself, so the quality is very high. At the same time, a stone behind me emanated waves of magic power. Yes, this is exactly that feeling, but strangely, this stone only reacted to me. The more magic power I inject into it, the stronger its reaction becomes. I then asked the shop owner about the origin of this stone, but the reply was that it's just an ordinary stone. A few years ago, a peddler gave me a large package as payment. When I opened it, there was only this one stone inside. Although I later had mages examine it, the results showed it's just an ordinary stone. Hearing this, I immediately felt very puzzled. Obviously, this is not an ordinary stone. Then the shop owner introduced me to a name card scroll. Just put the name card in here, and it will automatically read and store the information on it. Well then, sell me both the name card scroll and this stone. Hearing this, the shop owner immediately felt very puzzled. This is just a useless stone. Even the Tower Master found it very strange, but I didn't explain too much about this. On the way back, I explained to the Tower Master why I bought this stone. This stone is definitely not an ordinary decoration. Obviously, it's responding to my magic power, but I'll need to return to the castle to confirm the specifics. The scene shifts. Although I had mages analyze it, they found nothing special. But the Tower Master believed this machine could analyze everything. After all, this is a tool he spent his life's fortune researching. No matter what object, just place it on top and it can analyze all components. Without any hesitation, I immediately placed the stone on the platform. The next second, a surge of magic power instantly spread out. Yes, this is exactly that feeling. Then the magic power transformed into some coding. At this moment, both of them froze in place. This doesn't seem like ordinary magical coding. It's coding with arrangement rules and structures never seen before. This could easily rival 7th tier magic. It seems the magic hidden in this stone can only be unlocked by your magic power, and I'm very curious, why does only my magic power work? Although I'm not familiar with sealing magic, as the former magic tower master, I still need to give it a try. If you succeed, maybe you'll know why my magic is different from others. Meanwhile, in Arabelle's laboratory, as I expected, this is obviously not ordinary magic. Dain's inherent magic coding contains special coding that even I don't have. Although I really want to know which field of magic he's suited for, the results don't fall into any of these fields. Whether it's magic reagents, magic gates, or magic engineering, if it's none of these, then what could it be? And she suddenly remembered there's a mysterious magic field whose coding was lost. Maybe Dain is suited for that kind of magic. Just then, a book that fell to the side caught her attention. Ancient Magic Book. This is the magic inherited from the legendary kingdom called Arcana, known as the Magic Kingdom. But this is 2,000-year-old ancient magic. No one uses it anymore. Could this type of magic suit Dain? Without any hesitation, Elder Sister activated her magic power and began testing. The next second, the test results began displaying some information. As long as it's not witchcraft, it's fine. But the next second, Elder Sister froze in place. This is truly unbelievable. At the same time, through the Tower Master's persistent efforts, the seal was finally broken. A silver bracelet appeared before both of them. The Tower Master was quite surprised because he couldn't sense anything from this bracelet. But when I put it on my hand, the next second, the bracelet began to react, then text appeared. But even the Tower Master couldn't decipher its meaning since these are ancient runes that no one in the world can read. Yes, this is exactly the script used by the ancient magic kingdom Arcana, and I suddenly remembered Elder Sister seemed to have mentioned this country to me. In that era, people's lives were closely connected to magic. But one day, this country suddenly disappeared, leaving only some relics and passed down stories, along with this magical coding. Even the Tower Master didn't expect that my magical talent would be related to ancient magic. It seems this is why I could move freely in the Doomsday Forest. Of course, since that forest's origin is precisely Arcana. In any case, don't let this matter leak out. As for other things, we'll explore them slowly later. Just then, an urgent alarm suddenly sounded. The Tower Master thought it was a monster attack and was preparing for a big fight, but I immediately said, this might be Elder Sister trying to contact me. Then I connected to Elder Sister's communication. At this moment, Elder Sister said anxiously, when I was analyzing your magic coding, I discovered something. Don't tell me you also discovered that my magic is ancient magic? Hearing this, Elder Sister was extremely shocked. How did you know? Moments later, I told Elder Sister the whole story from beginning to end. The Tower Master was quite surprised. He didn't expect her to analyze his magic coding just through magic power. It seems her talent far exceeds mine. Just then, Elder Sister warned, never let this matter leak out, otherwise the entire family will be implicated. But keep this conversation. Elder Sister said no. She would immediately delete all information after the call ended. She said she would return to the magic tower to investigate this matter. At this time, facing the Tower Master's invitation, Elder Sister firmly refused, since Nixon Magic Tower isn't her area of interest. Then she cut off the communication. Moments later, I told my parents about this matter, and Father immediately said, if anyone targets Dain, I'll make them pay a heavy price. Of course, nothing is safer than the protection of both of them. Father was was very curious. According to what Dain said, doesn't that mean we have ancient magic bloodline flowing in us? That's a good inference. I'll return to the family to check the situation. If both sides investigate the family deeply, who knows what surprising discoveries there might be. At this moment, father slowly said, in any case, Dain, you've reached your limits in many aspects. If you continue staying here, it might affect your growth. You should consider going to the capital. Now you've reached school, age 2. Continuing to stay here won't teach you anything. Even mother said to me with deep meaning, Dain, you can leave whenever you want. Of course, I understand what you mean. I'm already prepared to enter the academy. The scene shifts. I told the Tower Master about this, and he said it's a good choice, but be careful not to expose too much talent at once. This will cause others displeasure. Just then, I suddenly remembered I once promised Layla I'd visit her in the capital, and that emblem, I should also consider what weapon to forge. At this moment, the Tower Master slowly said, before returning to the magic tower, I thought of something I need to do. I'll let you know about all the clues I find regarding ancient magic. Well then, since there isn't much time left, let's start training with third-tier magic. Of course, I immediately expressed my gratitude to the Tower Master. Then I even gave him a gift. This is something elder sister just researched, a compact crystal ball. With this, you can contact me anytime. Moments later, I returned to my room. My interest lies in accumulating some things. My goal is to formally study summoning and pass the assessment. Since Claire is a teaching assistant, I should be able to see her often during classes. At the same time, I slowly injected magic power into the fairy egg. For a full 7 years, this egg has shown no changes, but I believe someday it will respond to me. Then I contacted elder sister and learned from her that entering the academy requires passing 2 entrance exams. One is the general exam, the other is the specialized exam. The general exam is an exploratory test about the Empire's history and culture. I think it won't be difficult for you. After that is the specialized exam, which means you must choose a major and take the exam. The exam content is determined by the professors, but I think this will also be easy for you. But the problem is, once you choose a major, you can't change it. So you must stay with the corresponding major's teacher to take the exam, and I hope you'll choose magic. Hearing this, I immediately felt somewhat speechless. I'll consider it. But is there really no way to switch to another major? Usually that's the case. Unless you graduate and choose to come back, then you can choose another major. Once you enter the 3rd year, they usually don't allow non-majors to participate in that major's advanced courses. So it seems you can only choose one major. That's correct. But for talented guys like you, the school has specially established an independent major system. But I don't recommend you try this, because no one has ever passed this exam. Hearing this, I immediately felt very excited. Then I cut off communication with elder sister. At the same time, the Tower Master handed me a recommendation letter. I've never written a recommendation letter so sincerely. You should feel honored. Of course, I won't disappoint your expectations. The Tower Master was very curious. Are you ready? Yes, I heard the academy dormitories are equipped with everything I need, but it seems to be a place where noble young masters form cliques. Don't worry, as long as you don't provoke them, there won't be any problems. If you need anything, just contact me. I'll take good care of the little ball you gave me. Although your father gave me a position as magic advisor, I have more important things to do before that. I think he's definitely talking about ancient magic matters. At this moment, the Tower Master slowly said, in any case, I look forward to seeing you become even stronger next time we meet. Then he turned and left. The scene shifts. At this moment, the parents are having a somewhat reluctant conversation. It seems Dain is preparing to leave today, when other families' children are busy competing for inheritance rights. Only our children get along harmoniously. Someday we'll also have to make a choice, but I think any of them would be fine. At the same time, I slowly appeared before my parents. Dain, are you ready to set off? Will you take the short sword nocturne and the emblem? Of course, I confirmed this. At this moment, mother slowly said, just in case, take the emblem I gave you to the designated location. My former colleagues will help you. Father instructed me, Dain, when you get to the capital, find the Duke first. He'll help you enter the academy. Come on, let's send you off with smiles. Well then, I'll set off now. Moments later, father gave instructions to his subordinate behind him. Gerard, follow him as carefully as possible and safely escort him to the teleportation gate. On the other side, mother also gave the same instructions to her subordinate Shadow. The scene shifts. Herman and I came to the teleportation gate. This is the teleportation gate installed by Arabelle. After I found the teleportation gate made by Arabelle. At this moment, Herman was very puzzled. If you enter the teleportation gate, will it activate? Of course, I confirmed this. Teleportation, like other magic, cannot be used by simply rearranging codes. You must continuously inject magic power while rearranging to achieve teleportation. But the teleportation gate made by Arabelle is a device that satisfies all conditions. After bidding farewell to Herman, I slowly entered the teleportation device. At this moment, I injected magic power into the device. The next second, the teleportation gate emitted a brilliant light. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself teleported to the entrance of the capital Atania. Just then, a voice suddenly rang out. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Master Dain. I'm Commander Ravik Asmal of the 1st Legion of Termion. From now on, I'll be escorting you. At this moment, I fell into deep thought. Since I never imagined I'd come to this detestable Termion Alteon Empire. Moments later, under the commander's guidance, I came to the Duke's estate, but strangely, I always felt someone was watching me. The scene shifts. I came before the Duke. "Nice to meet you, Duke Termion." At this moment, the Duke slowly said, "Long time no see, Dain. The journey must have been tiring. Go in and rest quickly. Among children of similar age, no one is your opponent anymore. Your father must be very happy. This place can't compare to your home, but stay here peacefully until the exam. I'll arrange servants for you. If you need anything, you can tell me anytime." "Of course I will, but how has Layla been lately?" "Pretty good, but did you have a fight with her? Recently when you're mentioned, she always looks unhappy. Maybe the entrance exam is putting pressure on her. Don't worry, I'll ask her when I see her next time." Then, led by a servant, I returned to my room. It seems I need to stay here until the entrance exam is over, just as I was preparing to put down my luggage and look for the training ground. At this moment, a figure appeared behind me. "I'll take you to the training ground." "But Dain, why did you only come now? Long time no see, Layla. How have you been lately?" "Of course, but don't you have something to say to me? Why didn't you write to me?" Hearing this, I froze in place. Then I responded, "I've been too busy with many things lately, so I forgot. But I'm here now. So let the past be the past. Maybe I can do something to make up for it. How about a light sparring match?" Hearing this, Layla immediately agreed. "But are you sure you won't regret it? I'm much stronger than before." I suddenly remembered, this guy has indeed become much stronger. "I heard you won a competition in the past. Of course the competition was very fierce. If you had participated too, you would definitely have made it to the finals with me. But since it's already late today, let's postpone the match until tomorrow morning." The next morning, we came to an open area. Originally she wanted to use real weapons, but I immediately refused. What if someone gets injured during the match? "Don't worry, we have the best healers here. But what if the healer can't get here in time? If you want to use real weapons, you must be fully mentally prepared." Hearing this, Layla immediately decided to use practice weapons. But from the current situation, she has indeed grown a lot. Maybe she'll become the first female leader in the Termion family's history. It seems teaching her to release magic power was a major turning point. What I don't know is that she has already formed 2 magic cores. Moments later, the butler brought practice weapons. Since they're practice weapons, they feel quite light in my hands. Well then, let's begin. The next second, both sides entered battle readiness. At this moment, Layla was very confident. After all, she had defeated opponents using spears in competitions. As long as she closes the distance with her opponent, the spear's destructive power would greatly diminish. At the same time, Layla suddenly charged forward, then quickly executed a thrust. The next second, she showed an expression of utter shock, because at this moment, I had already disappeared from her sight. Then I smoothly moved to her side. "You've already lost, Layla. Good thing these are practice weapons. If they were real weapons, that would be big trouble." She was very shocked. "The sword clearly hit, so why did it turn out this way?" "Well then, let's start the second match. The same method won't work, so you need to be more careful." Just then, Layla noticed the Duke watching them from upstairs. I guess he wants to see for himself. Maybe he's worried about Layla's fatigue after winning the championship. "Today, I'll help you eliminate that worry." At this moment, Layla slowly said, "I'll give it my all next." The next second, both sides launched an extremely fierce offensive. Under Layla's fierce attacks, I still defended with ease. "How about it, Dain? I'm not simple, am I? You're still far from it. You haven't used your full strength yet, have you?" Meanwhile, the Duke watching fell into thought. Currently, the two seem evenly matched, but he's curious who will win. But what is this strange feeling? Dain's smile has completely disappeared since just now. Now he's more like a battle-hardened warrior. At this moment, Layla was attacking me with all her might. Suddenly she spotted an opening and thrust at me fiercely. However, I dodged by stepping aside. Then Layla was knocked to the ground by my spear. It seems I won this match again. At the same time, the Duke asked the commander behind him, "Asmal, do you think this will make Layla's arrogance subside? It seems you already knew." Of course, I know better than anyone. Ever since Layla won the championship, she's completely changed. Originally, I wanted to have a good talk with her, but considering the effect would be better if she could realize it herself, I simply didn't intervene. At this moment, Asmal slowly said, "That's truly a wise choice." At this time, the Duke asked him again, "How many magic cores do you think that boy has?" "It looks like at least 3 magic cores," but the Duke had a different view. "I think he has at most 3 cores. Asmal was puzzled. "Why do you think that?" "Look carefully. His spear technique far exceeds Layla's swordsmanship. He also has agile footwork, and those are tactical movements, things Layla has never experienced." Layla was very shocked. "How did you block all my moves?" "Because your movements were too obvious." At this moment, the Duke voiced his doubt. "Don't you think his movements are very skilled, like a battle-hardened warrior?" The period when Layla grew was exactly after we returned from our southern inspection. That was after meeting Dain. I think it will be the same this time. At this time, Asmal beside him slowly said, "Even though Miss Layla won the championship, she's no match for Dain at all. It seems Count Grays put him through harsh training." But the Duke disagreed. Although he's strict, he never trains others harshly, and Dain doesn't need harsh training either. He has talent that surpasses ordinary people. Dain is a genius. The reason he didn't participate in the competition should be that he's not interested in it. Hearing this, Asmal was utterly shocked. That kind of competition is what countless young men and women dream of, and he's not interested. The Duke spoke again. "Currently, there's no one among among his peers who can compete with him. At the same time, Layla was now kneeling on the ground, gasping for breath. Layla, I hope this match can make you realize your shortcomings. If you can change your arrogant attitude and become more skilled with swordsmanship, I believe you can definitely surpass your brothers. At this time, Layla fell into thought. I'm no match for him at all. I never thought the gap between us would be this big. At this moment, I slowly said, you seem very tired, so let's stop here. Yes, I indeed lost. The Duke should be satisfied now. Layla was very curious. How exactly did you train? I answered, hard work. Stop joking. Everyone trains hard. You just need to work a little harder. At this moment, Layla shouted somewhat unwillingly, I won't lose next time. Good, I look forward to that day. For Layla, I'm the only child she admires, and also the existence she wants to surpass. She wants to prove she's not a child waiting for guidance. But somehow, the gap between them seems to be getting wider. The scene shifts. Time quickly came to the entrance exam day. About 6,000 plus students applied for this year's exam. However, about 2/3 of the students cannot pass the first test. Now the first preliminary round is over. Only 2,000 applicants remain to take the second test. Meanwhile, several instructors were having a conversation. They all want to know which candidates will pass the exam this time, since they've already seen quite a few outstanding talents. At this moment, Magic Academy Dean Professor Dinavo said, are the first test scores out yet? They're still being tallied. I also want to know who got the highest score. The speaker was Spear Academy Dean Ingley. The first place in Sword Academy should be the young lady from the Termian family, since she's the one who won the championship in the competition. It seems we can predict that this year's top student should be from the Sword Department. The speaker was summoning Academy Director Delphine. At this time, Sword Academy Director Professor Estlin said, this is a foregone conclusion. After all, there are no competing opponents. But at this time, Dinavo had a different view. This is a recommendation letter, and it even has the seal of Nixon Magic Tower. You mean that Tower Master recommended someone? That guy famous for not taking disciples sent me a recommendation letter? He says this child already had 3 magic rings at age 14. Hearing this, everyone present was utterly shocked. Dain Grays, he's the son of Count Grays. It's the Grays family again. The magic department and summoning department already have 2 geniuses. And now the youngest son has the Magic Tower Master's recommendation. Children from the 2 greatest families in the Empire entering school, this news will definitely cause a huge sensation. Estland was puzzled. Grays is famous for spear technique, but from the Tower Master's recommendation letter, this guy's magic power is very outstanding. If he joins our department, he and Arabelle will definitely bring us great help. Just then, the first test results came out. Sword Department passed 1,367, Magic Department passed 227, Summoning Department passed 152. Indeed, Termian's name was in first place, but the dean looked very puzzled, because he didn't see Dane's name in any department. At the same time, a teacher beside him slowly said, there's a student who applied for an independent major. Hearing this, everyone present was utterly shocked, and Dane got the highest score among all 6,000 applicants in this test. So Dane is actually first place? Meanwhile, I looked at the spear in my hand, lost in thought. I didn't expect more than a month to pass so quickly. The first test results should come out soon. Just then, Layla slowly asked me, your scores should be out. What place are you? First place, of course. As expected, it's you. This guy is really too bad. I didn't get first place. How exactly do you study? I focused my attention on the past exam questions elder sister sent me. Since they were questions about actual combat, I was in my element doing them. Layla was puzzled. Combat questions aside, there were many other aspects. How did you answer those correctly? But speaking of which, what did you choose for the second test? I chose the third option. So it's actually an independent major application? Tell me honestly, besides spear technique and summoning, what else do you know? Well, I'll tell you later. After Layla learned I chose to apply for an independent major, she was very puzzled. The pass rate for independent majors is really too low. But I heard that if you choose independent major, you don't have to limit yourself to studying just one aspect. I can study with professors from all majors. Don't you want to go to the academy with me? Of course not. Then tell me what else you know besides spear technique and summoning. Hearing this, I immediately fell into thought. Should I tell her or not? The scene shifts to show 3 professors discussing the examination, as one must pass tests in all 3 specializations to qualify. I chose spear, summoning, and magic, although some have passed 2 tests in the independent specialization. Most people can't even pass the first test. Though the independent specialization option has existed for over 200 years, no one has ever passed the complete test. Actually, the test wasn't that difficult at the beginning. Centuries ago, because the academy urgently needed talent, they wouldn't give up on any ability. But now it's different. The academy's requirements for talent are increasingly high, and applicants also prefer to focus their energy on one single talent. So why does this department still exist when no one has ever been able to pass the test? Because it's a symbol of the academy, a symbol that only the Empire's most outstanding talents can enter. The Magic Academy Dean looked up the relevant records and discovered that only 2 people have passed the test so far. One automatically dropped out, and the other was the former emperor. This means that if you're not a true genius, achieving a passing grade is impossible. Hero Gray's youngest son, since he's not from an ordinary family, we can have some expectations. Maybe he's just an arrogant guy guy though. At this moment, the Magic Academy Dean slowly spoke. For the honor of the Academy, we cannot go easy on him. Let's see what this child who dares to challenge the symbol can do. The scene shifts as I arrive before the three professors. Hello, I'm applying for the Imperial Academy's independent specialization. Do you know what this means? Of course. As far as I know, I must achieve passing scores in all three specializations. At this moment, the Spear Academy Dean spoke up. I deeply respect Count Grays. Because he is the Empire's strongest spearman, you still have a chance to choose differently. I don't want to see a hero's son return in failure. I immediately refused. Thank you for your kind intention, but since I've come here, I will give my all. Seeing this, the Magic Academy Dean immediately announced the start of the examination. The exam consists of 3 different types of tests according to the chosen specializations. If you fail any one of them, it's considered a complete failure. Of course, I'm well aware of all this. Then let's begin with the summoning assessment first. Moments later, Summoning Academy Director Delphine stood before me. She's said to be the pinnacle among all summoners in the Empire, holding the record for simultaneously summoning 3 second-tier summoned beasts. At this moment, Delphine slowly said, "The summoning department's assessment is very simple. You just need to make me acknowledge your summoning skills." As expected, this was a free-form assessment without set standards. I then called out to the professor, "Next, please summon a summoned beast first. Any summoned beast will do." Hearing this, everyone present showed expressions of utter shock. The applicant was actually requesting the professor to perform a summoning. Delphine also looked puzzled, but she quickly calmed down. "Although your behavior is very boring, I must say it's quite interesting. Then open your eyes wide and watch carefully." At this moment, Delphine slowly gathered her magical power, as she suddenly opened her left eye. "Answer my summoning!" The next second, a massive summoning gate appeared before everyone's eyes. At the same time, powerful magic instantly blew away the surrounding people. Even the other 2 professors showed expressions of disbelief. That's actually the mad summoned beast Etlak, as the summoned beast's roar swept over them. What an unpleasant howl. This guy should be the most powerful summoned beast among 4th-tier summons. It will attack any target except its summoner. I wasn't particularly looking forward to the entrance exam, but now things are getting more and more interesting. At this moment, Delphine spoke. "Come on, I casually summoned a beast. What do you plan to do now?" Seeing this, I remained calm and unhurried, while everyone else felt utterly shocked. Etlak was an extremely ferocious monster. Even multiple dual-class knights would have difficulty killing it. Even the 2 professors found it hard to believe. What is this guy trying to do? At this moment, I slowly approached Etlak. "No matter what method I use, I just need to prove my talent, right? But I didn't put you in danger either. Don't worry, that kind of thing won't happen." Then I quietly gazed at Etlak. The next second, Etlak gradually lowered its guard, and then showed complete submission to me. Seeing this, everyone present was utterly shocked. He tamed the summoned beast so easily? At this time, Delphine noticed the magical thread connecting to the summoned beast. Although the color was quite faint, it completely eliminated Etlak's hostility. Truly incredible. Is this naturally possessing powerful affinity? Delphine fell into thought. Did he analyze Etlak's magical power the moment he made contact, and then establish a magical thread with it? Since he has no summoning mark, this is the best way to counter a summoner. With this heaven-defying talent, his future is truly worth looking forward to. At this moment, Delphine announced the test results to me. "You possess strong courage, calm judgment, and solid fundamentals. Clearly, you passed the test." The scene shifts to show Layla feeling utterly shocked. "You actually passed the test in just 30 minutes? Then you're definitely this year's honor student. I never thought the gap between us would be this large." Then Layla left dejectedly. At this time, the Duke found me. "You don't need to worry too much. Layla will overcome these things. Speaking of which, did you tell your father? He must be very happy." Indeed, everyone at home is very happy. Now that the exam is over, you can rest while preparing for enrollment. Thank you for your concern, of course. At this time, the Duke suddenly asked me, "Have you decided what to commission the blacksmith to make?" "It should be a sword, but I haven't thought it through yet." "Why?" "Because my body is still growing, and I don't know what kind of sword I want either, so I want to think it over carefully." "That's indeed a good idea.